demo. For those of you who are in viewing vicinity, if you cannot hear me and you would like to grab a headphone behind me, put it on. We're going to begin today's demo. We have Kieran here. The title of the presentation is Data-Driven Payments Integrity to Help Agencies. So come on over. We're going to go ahead and get started. Kieran, it's all yours.
Hello, testing. Hello, everyone. Welcome to SaaS Innovate 2026, live here in Texas. What an amazing energy here. Today, we are here to discuss about procurement, fraud, waste, and abuse. How it is plaguing our organizations and government, and how we are empowering our business users in solving them efficiently and using the right set of technologies. Let's directly jump into this. Millions of dollars are lost to procurement, fraud, waste, and abuse every single year, causing a huge hole within public finances and eroding public trust. Across various fraud risk benchmarking, including the Association for Certified Fraud Examiners, the world-trusted benchmarking on fraud risk, procurement-related risk sits right at the top of the fraud risk hierarchies, just behind tax, financial, and cyber crimes. Unfortunately, just acknowledging the fact that the fraud exists isn't enough. The real challenge is deciding what do we do next with it. How do we enable our businesses to find the risk signals earlier? How do we assist them in prioritizing the risk correctly? How do we empower them to act quickly and decisively, navigating various complex fraud patterns that procurement has to offer? SaaS has 50 years of experience on delivering analytical systems that our government trusts and use for their day-to-day decisioning. What you are going to see today is a culmination of this expertise, a purpose-built procurement, fraud, waste, and abuse solution in action. A singular platform, one source of truth, from detection to triage to actioning. We are going to see this through the lens of Jane, our most trusted procurement investigator, very experienced. Her journey is going to be powered through our own payment integrity for procurement solution. Throughout the demo, I want you to focus on, we are not just highlighting risk for her, but we are empowering her to act on it and save those billions of tax dollars that are at risk of procurement, fraud, waste, and abuse. Jane starts her journey right here, reviewing the procurement health dashboard. The dashboard, at glance, provides her a quick view of her entire procurement spend. How much of the analytical spend has been processed through the system? How much of that is at the risk of fraud, waste, and abuse? The system also gives her, at glance, a quick view of how her alert scheme is behaving. How many alerts are active within the system at the moment? How many of them have reached to an open audit stage? Moreover, the system at glance reflects how much she and her team has been able to save for her organization. She can drill down into any of these sections within the dashboard to identify where exactly the risk is concentrated, so that a surgically precise action could be taken to plug those leakages. From an executive perspective, this is your early warning system. This is what highlights when something goes wrong. But from Jane's perspective, this is her day-to-day briefing. This is what helps her decide what, when, and how needs to be actioned. Right here is Jane's operational home. Our products, SaaS Payment Integrity for Procurement's operational homepage powered by SaaS Visual Investigator. Before deep diving into any of the alert actioning and alert queues, the system provides Jane an ability to perform an open search-based analytics. This assists her in chasing a specific tip-off that she's behind, or exploring the data, or enriching any of the existing alerts in flight. She can simply do this by navigating on our home page and accessing the search toolbar or the targeted search bar. A simple wildcard search reflects back all the information related to the procurement world that she has access to. She can further use any of the predefined configurations to filter exactly where she needs to go quicker. Each of the entity pages are configured in such a precise way so that they reflect the backend ERP system's data correctly and accurately. Also brings in all of the related entity and relationship data so that Jane and her team gets a quick view of the overall picture at a single screen. Her journey is further simplified by the use of artificial intelligence and AI-assisted search that allows her to interact with the system using natural language querying. She can simply ask a question, give me all the invoices about 100K, and the system reflects accurately. This is where we have successfully broken the data silos that exist and plagues the procurement fraud, waste, and abuse use case. Using one intuitive interface, Jane can chase off a tip-off, explore any data, or enrich any of the existing investigations in flight. But if you're wondering, Jane doesn't need to start every day from scratch. The system works in day in and day out for her, running various advanced analytics behind the scene, identifying various risk patterns, and surfacing them for Jane's actioning. The risk here comes in the form of alerts. Alerts are basically prepackaged containers of high-risk event rolled up at a certain entity of interest level. Out of the box, the system provides you access to supplier and employee monitoring. If the team is inclined, they can extend this further to highlight and roll up risk at any specific level that meets their business needs the most, such as high-risk invoices, high-risk purchase orders, or payments. Having high-valued risk is one side of the equation. The real power of the system comes, how do we empower Jane to quickly and decisively act on them? This is where SaaS fundamentally changes the game. Traditional systems have an alert-centric view where, all of the high-risk events are constrained within the view of the alert and the alerted entity. Unfortunately, that is not the pattern that fraud always follows. Many a times, fraud exists outside of these artificially created boundaries. To address this need carefully, SaaS provides a multi-dimensional actioning of the alert, both at the event level as well as at the supplier monitoring level. Jane can access this by quickly clicking on the Events tab. This is where all of the underlying high-risk events surfaced for our actioning. She can choose any of the existing controls that she needs to work on, whether it's a duplicate invoicing or whether it is related to invoices on a certain public holiday. Each of the scenario-fired events are correctly configured with the right contextual information needed to perform the actioning. She can record her actions and recoverables and finding right using the single screen. To cater to the fraud patterns existing outside or across multiple entities, the system provides her an ability to perform a bulk actioning. This is where, by making scenario-fired event as the granular unit of work from the investigation perspective, we have successfully converted the investigation volume into alert velocity. Each of these individual investigation units can now be distributed across various investigation teams, achieving distribution of the work. After taking the individual action on each of these events, Jane and her team now wants to focus on reviewing the supplier level risk. She goes back to the visual investigator, accesses her homepage where all of the risks are pre-prioritized for her. MJ Consulting sits right at the top of her alert queue with a score of 999. She jumps into the alert. Being an expert investigator she's able to quickly highlight and spot various anomalies that exist within the system. Are there instances of duplicate invoices? Are there outliers related to purchasing? Are there splitting of invoices or fabrication of invoices being done? Or are there any instances of collision? She jumps directly into the alerting tab and starts actioning them one by one or through the bulk disposition option. Any action that she has previously taken on the Events tab is reflected back on the alert activity page so that no duplication of work or loss of work happens. Jane is an expert investigator. To cater to all, and she doesn't need any onboarding to the product, but to cater to any of the need of all the different personas of the investigator, SaaS launches SaaS via inspired Procurement Intelligent Assistant, your own private intelligent assistant that can help you navigate your entire journey on procurement, fraud, waste, and abuse. This helps efficiently reduce the onboarding time for any personas of investigator. Our new investigators can now simply interact with the system using natural language and make the product conversational. They can initiate the conversation by saying, can you summarize the alert from the procurement, fraud, waste, and abuse perspective? What you're going to get back now is not a generic response from an LLM. Behind the scene, the system leverages Model Context Protocol Framework. The MCP framework allows the system to harness decades of SaaS experience around procurement fraud detection so that a targeted and a procurement-driven response is provided. Our investigation can further continue this conversation and ask the system, how do I resolve a specific duplicate billing invoices issues? And the system, again leveraging the MCP protocol behind the scene, responds the exact step that our new investigator needs to take to resolve this issue here. This is an open platform. This allows you an ability to ingest your business's best practices so that the response is accurate and meets all of your target needs. Our investigation can go one step further and ask the system or the intelligent assistant to please compare the underlying data points and recommend whether a particular invoice is duplicate with the other one or not. Our procurement intelligent assistant performs exactly the same task. It takes the underlying data points and provides a recommendation. These are various intelligent assistant examples and the use cases that we are showcasing to you. This is just the tip of the iceberg. The capabilities are enormous. We can extend this to perform agentic-driven investigations and triaging for you. The problem is not how much the system is capable of. The real issue is how do we operationalize this correctly in the right context and provide that right context and the value to our businesses. Now coming back to Jane's story, she has already seen all the event-level transactions. She has reviewed the MJ consulting correctly. She is now convinced there is more here than what meets the eye. She needs to see a full 360-degree view of the entire MJ consulting connections. System provides her that ability by giving her access to the network visualization. The system provides a pre-built network for Jane's and her team's review. They can quickly access that by using our workspace environment on the same screen. All of the underlying risks are highlighted on the screen. She can now quickly understand that various instances of duplicate invoices or collision or outliers quickly roll up to one specific business user within the procurement domain. There are instances of shared bank account and shared addresses, which is not a normal practice within the procurement, fraud, waste, and abuse detection. She is now convinced this is not an isolated risk in play, but rather a full-fledged fraud ring in operation. She decides to elevate this to a further case management workflow. She can perform that using the same singular unified screen and record her findings, assign it to a specific case management workflow user, identify all of the high-risk events that she wants to be further investigated, and also record all of the findings that she has done from her initial triage and investigation. Using a single intuitive screen, we have successfully empowered our investigator by allowing them to access the underlying data, breaking the data silos, by empowering them to review the alerts, by assisting them to quickly and decisively take multi-dimensional actioning on the alert so that the true value of the system could be identified. But why stop here? Jane is able to very efficiently work on the alert and the risk that has been identified by the system. But she and her team possesses enormous experience related to procurement, fraud, waste, abuse use cases. This is where we go a step further and allow Jane and her team to not only act on the risk, but rather influence how that risk is calculated in the first place. SaaS the product provides you with an inbuilt and integrated SaaS intelligent decisioning platform, which is our UI-based alert generation and alert detection platform. In traditional systems, alert generation processes are treated more as a back-end data scientist job. Within our product, we are opening that one up for Jane and her team to influence an action. She has access to all of the underlying decisions in play. She has access to all of the business scenarios that influence the risk decisions. She can access them. Various individual actions she could take by herself, whether it is about changing a specific threshold to reduce or decrease the number of alerts that have been created within the system. Change the message so that they appear more contextual from the business perspective, And if so inclined and skilled, she can change the entire business logic to reflect the right need of the procurement, fraud, waste, and abuse use cases. Any change she makes, the system allows her an ability to see how it is going to impact the entire production environment before making them live within the scene. As you can see very clearly, we have empowered our business users to effectively take a multi-dimensional actioning on the alert, and we also allow them to influence how those alerts are generated in the right place. Fraud is evolving. Fraudsters are becoming faster. We aim at being ahead of them two-step by providing the right technology, the right mix, and keeping our product simple and intuitive. Thank you very much. Feel free to ask any questions. Thank you everyone. Have a wonderful time in SaaS Innovate 2026. I look forward to talking to each one of you and understand your business problems. Thank you.